So what is the like we wanted to talk about cocktails today. What is like the cocktail like how would you characterize your guys' relationship with cocktails at Jeremiah's?
So it's kind of interesting because we have four locations in
Okay.
Rochester, and every location has a different kind of clientele. So we all kind of have free range in terms of creating cocktail menus. Like it's not
Nice.
the same, for each location.
Hmm.
So, like Fairport, where I'm at, a little bit more suburban, really big school district, a lot of surrounding, suburban towns that also have large school districts, high
Hmm.
population. Our other locations, two of them are more city based, so they get a lot of, college kids, or our original location actually, I think was built in like the 70s, I want to say. I could
Oh
have that
wow.
wrong. So we actually have a lot of like baby boomer generation and older that come in and they're like, oh, when I was a teenager, we used to go to the Monroe Ave location, when it was first opened, and we were kids, and it's still kind of a college bar down there. So
Okay.
now the older generation has moved to like
To the
where I work
where yeah,
because it's
right.
a little quieter, a little calmer. So the clientele just kind of varies across the board. So where like Monroe Ave sells a lot of Fireball. I sell
Hmm.
no Fireball.
Right.
My clientele prefers Jack Fire,
Hmm.
or Prosecco or Aperol Spritz and things
Right.
like that. Like a little bit kind of nicer, even though we're a tavern and we have chicken wings and burgers and things like that. We still have the clientele that kind of wants to drink nice stuff. But
Right.
on the other hand of that, we have clientele that still drink Jenny Red cans, and that's what they come in for. So we do have kind of a variety of clientele as well, but primarily what we're looking for when we create craft cocktails is, you know, our clientele, not
Right.
the other location's clientele.
Are
So it's
the
kind of
are
fun to
the
have that free range.
yeah, that sounds I mean it sounds necessary too for the different clientele that you guys are having. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Are the food menus the same at the different locations and it's just the drinks that are different?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so what goes into what's your process for creating either a craft cocktail or like your craft cocktail list? I guess to ask like a easy like one word answer. Do you guys do it quarterly? Do you guys do it weekly? Like what's your how often are you
Kind
coming
of
up with like a new one?
seasonally, I would say, as the
Okay.
season changes. Also, as like when I'm left with excess inventory and stuff that I can't offload, just
Right.
having it out behind the bar, leaving it to the guests to kind of order it on their own. Then I take what I have excess of inventory and,
Mm-hmm.
I try to come up with a cocktail that kind of mixes a couple different things so that I can offload that inventory and not be stuck with it forever.
Totally.
So, like now we're getting into fall and I have a ton of black button bourbon cream. So, I'm doing a bunch of stuff with the black button bourbon cream in different formats so that I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of move it faster. Um, and same thing with like if we have any leftover summer inventory, then I'm kind
Right.
of using that up and trying to transfer it into a fall beverage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so also just with like food pairings, like you think about the food that we serve and what would go good with it. And, we're not typically a restaurant that people go to and get, three, four, five courses. We rarely sell a whole lot of desserts, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of dessert type
Right.
cocktails on there
Yeah.
because that's not what people are coming out for most of the time.
So what does your menu look like? How many are like sitting on your craft cocktail list at any given time?
We usually keep anywhere from, let's say, 7 to 10 specialty cocktails on there. We also have we got a slushy machine
Nice.
last year or the year before, I think.
Even
And
out
it's one,
in the suburb location too, not just at the
yeah,
college. Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and again, sometimes like in the fall and winter, because it's not summer out and people aren't looking for slushies in the winter time, I kind of have to adjust that. So, like right now, I have an apple cider slushy,
Nice.
with vanilla vodka in it and some caramel. And then I also have a pumpkin cold brew slushy with that black
Mm,
button bourbon cream and pumpkin cold brew coffee and whipped cream vodka, and it tastes like pumpkin pie. So even though they're cold drinks, they're fall
they're
based.
still
So those are
seasonal.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you, okay, so you said 6 to 8, 7 or 8?
6 to
Six to
10,
ten.
six,
6 to 10.
yeah, depends.
And then, so I know this will change seasonally as well, but how are you thinking about the breadth of what's available? Are you like, okay, I need two vodkas, the primary spirit, two gins, two whiskeys? Is that kind of how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, in the summertime, it's going to be less of, the darker like whiskeys, bourbons kind of stuff. But I'll still throw one on there or have like a Kentucky Mule or something available where
Right.
it's bourbon, but it's still summery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I try to have a variety of all of the liquors so everybody's,
Everybody's
flavor
happy.
palette is kind of met. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then as far as the actual cocktails that make it onto the list, where are you getting the recipes from? Are you coming up with them yourself? Or are you kind of mining the traditional stuff, like the
So
classic ones?
yeah, I mean, I try and take stuff years ago. Well, for a couple years actually, my sister's gotten me like the bartender's black book, like, that little black book that way
Mm-hmm.
back in the day bartenders just, lived off of. And
Yep.
then she's also given me other craft cocktail books just to kind of reference. And then Pinterest. Pinterest is my best
Yeah.
friend for like anything recipe related. So
Got it.
I try to go through and do some research. And find other cocktail recipes and then just kind of put my own spin on it or tweak things based on what I have available at the restaurant so that I'm not constantly having to outsource, like going to Wegmans to buy things
Yeah,
every
totally.
week,
Right.
where I try and just look around and see what we constantly have and I can use.
So what's one that you've really enjoyed lately? Just so we can have like a concrete example.
Um, just at the end of summer, I had a lemon basil martini on there that I really liked.
Yum.
I made a house-made cucumber simple syrup for it. I also like to experiment with simple syrups. That's kind of been my thing in the last
Mm,
year is just coming up with different kinds of simple syrups. I've done serrano simple syrup, cucumber, um, jalapeno simple syrup. I also like
nice.
making purees instead of just muddling fruits because we would do these fruity lemonades and you would muddle the strawberries, muddle the peaches, muddle the blueberries. And then as you're drinking the lemonade, the pulp is
Straw.
getting in the straw. So in the last couple months, I've taken it upon myself to make purees and, put it through a sieve and strain all the seeds out and get it so that you're just getting like the syrup
Awesome.
part of it. And I see that that makes a huge difference in things as well. So, but yeah, the lemon basil martini, I did Kettle One vodka with my cucumber simple syrup. And then I got just a little basil plant at Wegmans and I kept it, outside the restaurant, would
Yep.
water it every day, take a couple basil leaves, smack it in the palm of your hand,
Perfect.
um, shake it up, strain, and go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's on the list right now? Can you name it from memory?
Yes, I think so. So there's the apple cider slushy, pumpkin cold brew slushy. We have a Kentucky Mule with black button bourbon. I have, um, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, porch rocker. Porch rocker, I did peach puree with peach schnapps, bourbon, and lemonade. So it's kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
transitioning from summer to fall, but you still have that like lemonade to kind of um, make it a little summery feeling still.
Mm-hmm.
I recently had an Aperol spritz on there, which is, you can change an Aperol spritz to a lot of different ways, but I kind of like just the classic Aperol
Mm-hmm.
spritz.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Um, oh, and I have a caramel apple mule right now with a cinnamon sugar rim that's just so delicious.
That sounds like dessert
Um,
right there. Nice.
yeah, that one's been really good. And I also have a honey habanero Bloody Mary, and it
Okay.
actually has our signature one of our our signature wing sauce. It's called Bee Sting. It's a sweet and spicy sauce, and it has our signature bee sting sauce in the Bloody Mary, and then
Oh,
I have a tahini rim around it,
nice.
so you get a little heat, little citrus, all of that.
That sounds
Um,
just for somebody who grew up in the suburbs of Minneapolis, like this kind of stuff was not happening at the
are you from
restaurant thing.
Minneapolis?
Uh-huh. Well, the
Oh,
suburbs of.
my in-laws are all from Minnesota. My
Oh,
husband's
okay.
family, they live Richfield.
Richfield. Okay. Yeah, we are up north of Minneapolis along the Mississippi River. It's in a town called Coon Rapids.
Okay,
So
my
we,
husband's one aunt, I don't know where she lives, but she lives like 2 or 3 hours north of
oh, way
Richfield
up there.
in the middle of nowhere where there's like two traffic lights in the whole town.
Yeah.
And she has that heavy Minnesota O accent, and I love it. It's
Yeah,
just the
it's
cutest
pretty
thing
good
ever.
stuff.
I don't catch the Minnesota accent in you.
Yeah, I went away for college and then I lived in a bunch of different places and so I kind of dropped
Yeah.
it. But when I
Does
went to
that O come
college,
out sometimes?
it's more like if somebody asked me like what the fire-breathing lizard would be called that's in like Lord of the Rings, I used to say dragon, but
Oh, okay.
you know, dragon
Yeah,
is how I've been
gotcha.
socialized to say
That's
it.
super cool. I love that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's so funny. That's super cool. Oh, and then my other one, this is my personal favorite. I have an elderflower fizz. I have Saint Germain is probably one of the most versatile liqueurs I feel like
that's
out there.
just
You can just
it's just like
do
a
so
grown
much
up
with it.
it's like a grown up flavor and taste. You know what I mean? Like once
Yeah.
I could start, if you would have given that to me in college, it would have been just like, what is this? But
Oh yeah, no, you don't have the palate
it just
for
like
that when you're younger to
brings
appreciate
along
it.
so much sophistication to everything it ever goes in. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
so the elderflower fizz, I have just a little squeeze of lemon with some prosecco, little splash of Saint Germain, and then a lemon twist on top, and it's just a really nice balanced. Yeah, that one's one of my favorites for sure.
Nice.